Hey, on this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how to explain what your adult autistic kids' major triggers are to their caregivers. All right, let's get started. Hey, I'm Ben Blackman, and this is the After Us Project. I'm grateful that you're here. So, this is kind of a tough one because obviously all our adult autistic kids' triggers are different, right? And I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I'm just telling you my experience. And the reason that this doing this is important is because if something happens to us, whether we're incapacitated for a short term or or if we're gone or something like that, we just want whoever's going to be caring for our adult child to make that transition as easy as possible. And talking to them about triggers or having something available to whoever's going to step in to watch or read or look at so that they can make that transition easier, is this is a crucial thing. So let's just kind of talk about that. So most caregivers, that they might be well-meaning, but they could make things worse because they're on a learning curve. Even if, so just like an example, my son's brother, my other son, Jace, even though Jace knows Evan very well, he doesn't know everything about everything. And, if he didn't have a cheat sheet, it might make it tough for him to step in. So that's why, I have those kinds of things ready. And I'm just going to kind of talk to you about what triggers are, and just so you can kind of get some things going in your head, because I feel like, at least for me, a lot of the triggers I don't consciously think about anymore because I just know what they are, and I want to be able to explain this to somebody else. I either want to write this down, I want to record a video, I want to do something so that I can, somebody can easily access that. And we all know, or at least for me anyway, that meltdowns and shutdowns happen. Sometimes it seems like they come out of nowhere, and then but a lot of times we know exactly what triggered them. And I'll give you an example. So sneezing, like if I sneeze, it bothers Evan. So I always tell him sneeze, and he'll cover his ears. He'll try to cover his ears. But if I do it without telling him, well, then that's a problem, right? So it's really just startling him. But how are a caregiver going to know that unless I tell them? Even Jace, my other son in the house, he going to know that unless I tell him. Like he might know it a little bit, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And we also want to make sure that they know how to respond to help things go a little smoother, right? Like in that case, I told him, you don't have much time when you're getting ready to sneeze. So I just say sneeze, and he knows what to do. That's it. And I don't have time for headphones or anything along those lines. So let's just kind of talk about what some of the common triggers to watch for or to think about. Because remember, what I'm trying to get across here is that for us, because we've been dealing with it for so long, we kind of know these things without thinking about them, right? And I want to kind of give you an opportunity to think beyond what you just see on a normal, regular basis. So sensory triggers like sights, sounds, lights, textures, smells, touch, all those kinds of things. Like we want to make sure to let the caregiver know which one of those things can potentially trigger, and what the trigger is, like what it means. So those sensory kind of things. Then there's social triggers, eye contact, group conversations, being touched without warning, stuff like that. And how it works is that every kid's different, and they're going to respond in a different way. So just because somebody's familiar with autism, right, and has experience with that, they every kid's different. And so should somebody have to step in, especially like if you're incapacitated for some reason and there's emergency care personnel around and they're running around doing stuff, and your regular caregiver's not there to help out or to pitch in or whatever it is, you want those people who are going to be handling the situation to know that's what this is for. And you really have to explain it to them. Like you can't just say, oh, he's bothered by loud noises. Well, true, but what about loud noises, right? What happens? Like you really want to go into further that. So Communication triggers. Oh, that's a big one. Too many questions. I'm horrible at that. I mean, I'm the worst. I'll ask him the same question 10 times in a row, and I mean, I don't know what my problem is with that, but that's, I'll do that without giving him a chance to process it, and things like that. So, if there's other things, dietary things, you want to make sure that you've addressed that and have that available. And so if you're, what I would do and what I have done, what you want to think about are what are the last three like significant shutdowns or meltdowns that happened, and what happened right before that. Okay, were they all the same things? Were they different? I mean, what exactly happened? Or make sure that that you're, you're noticing it for the next time. Because what happens when our kids get to go from being kids to adults, we just kind of absorb all that and we don't think about it when they have a meltdown quite as much. And we may not be as on top of our game about trying to identify the trigger for that. We've just kind of gotten used to it. And I don't mean we're not doing a good job and everything. It's not that. It's just, we've kind of gotten used to it. They've kind of gotten used to it. And so we're not noticing it as well, the other thing is you can ask questions, what stresses your child out that most people wouldn't even notice, right? Or most people wouldn't see as being a trigger for them. So you really want to think about those things. So, and this is how you explain it to a caregiver, right? And by the way, again, like I said, you want to have it written, or you want to have it on a, like a video or something like that. But no, if you do this, they will likely respond by doing that, or whatever it is. That's how you want to do it. And just say, this is what's going to happen, and give them examples of what to do and why, so you can help them understand, not just memorize the whole thing. So it's really best to just kind of create a little cheat sheet at the very least, just a one-pager of bullet points, and break it down to avoid this if possible, or watch out for this, or this is how you respond to that kind of thing, and just kind of put those down. It doesn't have to be that big. You can just print on a Google Doc or something like that. But it's important to kind of identify these things so that the caregiver that's stepping in, whether they know your child or not, knows what's going on with them. Okay, I think I've hit that hard enough, don't you? If you like this kind of stuff, please do subscribe. I would love it if you did. And if you want more stuff along these lines, let me know. All right, thanks so much.